All right. So yeah, we're gonna get started. And really just like what this will look like today is, we'll do like a welcome opening. I'm gonna do like a little bit of talk on the man, the maiden, and the mother personas, because it's just something that I'm really been like looking into, and I see a lot in the marketplace, in the business space, that I just want to kind of help all of us identify. And then really just talk a little bit about Mama Biz life, and then give you a little tour of what it looks like in our online space. And then I'm just here to open it up to any questions, whether you want to get coached or whether you just have questions about Mama Biz life and if it's for you. And that's it. So I know it sounds like a lot. I'm gonna do my best to talk fast because I can talk. But I also really want to hear from you. But I'm glad that we kind of got that little beginning time together. I love that. I always wish I could do that with everyone. So when I do have like more one-on-one time, it is so nice, right, Leinani? She's like lucky. She always comes to things that sometimes others don't come to. I'm like, oh, it's just you and I. And it's great. Like I love that. I never look at that as like, oh shucks, I wish there was more people. Like I just love connecting. And there's something I think is really special about moms who even have the desire to run their own business. Like it's a different energy. Like you have to be a special kind of person to want more than what you have in a 9 to 5. And so okay, I guess whoever's here is you two. And if anyone else jumps in, I'm gonna put this in the chat. But maybe just write formally your name, where you're from, and your business and your Instagram handle, so I can make sure I can follow you, and the Roche jumps in can too. You're from. All right. Oops. And Lay, I'm so glad you made it. We have a lot of calls this week. Giselle, I don't know if you know Giselle she does Honolulu Baby Company. So she helps me with some light VA work. And she's like, are you sure you're gonna do 2 Mama Biz Life calls today or this week? I'm like, yeah, I scheduled it fine. She's like, you have 3 open houses. I was like, it's fine. Like, it's gonna be all good. Like, I love it, And so yes, we have a packed Mama Biz Life work week, but it just means I get to see your guys' faces more often. So okay. We talked a little, but just in case you don't know me, I'm Noelle. My middle name is Kauanoe, and my last name is Campbell, maiden name Takimoto, just in case. I just feel like when you lived in Hawaii your whole life, sometimes people are like, what's your new name? Like, someone just the other day was like, well, Takimoto. And like, I hadn't heard that for so long. And then you have people who are like, you were a Takimoto? So I'm just gonna put it all out there. Noelle Kauanoe, Takimoto Campbell. I'm from Mo'iliili, which is basically Manoa Waikiki side of Oahu. I still live basically in the compound that I grew up on next to my family, which is really, really sweet. And I get a lot of support, mama and business wise because of that. And honestly, I used to be a teacher. So I taught for 5 years in Kaiapuni, so Hawaiian immersion at Anuenue School. And then I moved into nonprofit work, and I worked for Ma'o Farms, which was all about like food education and sustainability and all of that. I loved it, but I also got pregnant that first month that I started. And so I basically was there for 9 months, and then I was a stay-at-home mom. Like I thought that was my total dream, to just be a stay-at-home mom and like do all the things. Coming from an educator's background, I was like, I know how to do this. I'm going to teach my kids. I'm going to like raise them, outside and love my life. And to be honest, I was like a little bit postpartum and kind of depressed, like having been in isolation. It felt very isolating being a stay-at-home mom, with my baby who I loved, and like our time together was so special. And I was a little bit, isolated, and I was missing community, and I was missing impact, and I was missing adults. And so 2 years later, fast forward, I did that for 2 years, and I ended up working at Paipaio He'eia. And I just poured into, basically Aina education. Loved it. Thought I'd raise my children that way alongside working for this nonprofit. And like, I got pregnant with my second kid. And I realized that even in nonprofit work, even in like Ohana supportive organizations, it's very not ohana supportive. And you're still in a 9 to 5, you still only have sick leave, you still only get maternity for your disability, right? Or whatever, and then you leave without pay, and they want you right back after what, 4 weeks? And so, again, I just was like, is this in alignment with my motherhood? So 4 years after doing that, I did it. I had my second child. I did the 9 to 5. I cried going back to work. I did the things. And I felt compromised on both ends. I don't know, when you're in a 9 to 5 and you have little ones, it can feel compromising on both ends, right? Sometimes you're feeling great because you're working and you're like, this is great, making connections, doing good. And then sometimes you're like really missing your kids. And then sometimes your kids are always sick and you gotta take off and you're like, I ran out of my sick leave. Like there's just compromises that you have to make when you're in a 9 to 5. Fast forward, I got pregnant again. And then I couldn't find a sitter. I didn't know what to do. It just kind of all blew up in my face at one time. I ended up leaving, and that's the first time I started my own business. So that was in 2016. And I was in network marketing. And so in that profession, you do a lot of mentoring and you build teams. And that's the part about it I really loved. Like sales for me wasn't like, I didn't love the sales part. And I don't know if I'll ever be like a salesperson. But I love building community. I love like getting to know people and understanding like what is holding them back and being able to help them figure out how to get past that or pull out the best in them. Create ideas, think of new things, new pathways that they can take. And that's kind of what I fell in love with. And then even though I didn't stay in that profession and I ended up leaving and starting my own business, which is where we're at today, Mama Biz Life, that really, I look back, I'm really grateful for that experience because it pushed me to sales. So I did have to learn some sales things, which coming from a teacher is like night and day, right? Like you're like, what am I doing? And I realized that I really love doing that. And that's exactly how Mama Biz Life got started, is that where could I continue to support, mothers in business? Because I could have done women in business, but I was like, there's just something like, I don't know. I'm just not like, women is such a broad category, right? And I just felt like my real reason for being in business was because of my motherhood. And so that's kind of what I wanted to also help other mothers do, because I just saw so many mothers in the business space, and yet they were all getting advice from like women in business. And maybe some of them were mothers, maybe they weren't, but I just felt like there was like a miss, and we'll talk about that in a second when I kind of go through the different personas. But I thought there could be more support for specifically mothers building their businesses. And I just didn't see that anywhere. And so I just jumped in, and it's been 1 year. Leilani was in my first cohort and she's still here, which I love. Like, to me, that shows the sustainability of success, is that people from the first cohort still want to be around, everyone has a choice to leave and they still want to be around, because I do think that our community is just unmatched. Like I don't know, the people in it are just good people. They have good values, good intentions. And when you get a lot of people, or a lot of women, I would say, in the same realm that feel that way about themselves and each other, it is just like miracles happen, and it's beyond what I can create. That's why I always tell them, like, a lot of it is because of the community. But I do get to be like that steward, and I take it seriously that I, take care of them and make sure that it's a safe environment and that it is a space where they can grow confidently. And so that's my job, is like, I'm kind of like the facilitator. I provide mentorship at times. I also am always trying to think about how to like continue to support these ladies wherever they're at. And I would say like my strength really is being present. So that's why I like to do these open houses. Like, yes, I have a light agenda, and at the same time, I just want to be really present with you and just be able to meet you where you're at and support you through, whatever's coming up. And I would love to hear, maybe in the chat, what did I just say? What are you good at? Like, what is your gift? What is your gift to, or service to the world, your community? Maybe it's just your family. It's whatever you think of it as. Like, what are you good at? I'd love to hear in the chat, because I think when we are asked that, it's always like, I know when someone asks me that, I'm like, oh God. But I've come to refine it to something I feel very comfortable at, and that's being present. It doesn't have to be some like, I'm really good at something crazy spectacular that sounds really good on paper. It could be just be something real simple, and that's completely enough. So I'll give you a sec to think about it. Drink some water. Write it down. See you laughing. You too, Leinani. What's your superpower? I'm gonna wait till you guys write it down to move on. Remember, it doesn't have to be hard. It literally be, I'm really good at like hugging. What are you guys really good at? Motivation. Motivation for yourself or for others? And Leinani says, such a hard one. No, it is not, Leinani. I could
For
tell you
everyone, for
things you're,
everyone else.
what's
I
that for
kind of
everyone
feel,
else?
I kind of feel like, I mean, Lane knows me, but like with my family and even with my job, sometimes we become therapists almost. And one of my favorite parts of my 9 to 5 is when my favorite age range of patients are like high schoolers, like juniors, seniors, trying to figure out what they're gonna do. And then I was like, why didn't I become like a school counselor? I would love to do that. I even looked up how to like, if they had programs here, but they don't. I would have to go to somewhere.
Common matter.
Anyways, but yeah, I like to, or not maybe motivation or encouragement. Like I think Lee, Lee knows this. One of my sisters calls me at least 3 to 5 times a day just to get like, that word of I don't know, or even my other sister always calls me to have that sense of, I don't know. Yeah, I guess encouragement and positive, but I got to be better about that with myself. But
Yeah,
yes, for others, I like to, you know, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but
I get
sorry.
it. I
Yeah,
totally get it. Yeah,
yeah,
you're and almost similar to Lei. She wrote, I guess I'm good at supporting others in a very raw but genuine way. And I've totally seen that in you, Leinani, for sure. And that's like such an amazing strength from both of you guys. Um, and sometimes our strength is what we lack giving ourselves. It's very true. What you said, I think that can be very true. Sometimes it's like you have high belief in others, low belief in yourself. It's almost like you want to like, and same with my presence. I love being present with others. And sometimes I'm like, I haven't even thought about my, my needs or myself because I'm just like so focused on like what the external is. And always a good reminder, right? To like also give that to yourself because that's only going to make you be able or I guess allow you to be able to give more to others, you know? Yeah, thanks for sharing. No, it's not easy. Those aren't easy questions. I get it. But it helps me to get to know you guys a little bit more and help you to see, again, strengths that you have. Is always good to remind yourself of that. Um, okay. So I gave you guys the agenda already. I'm gonna talk a little bit about what I said, the man, maiden, and mother personas, which you guys might be like, what are you talking about? But I've just been doing some research and just observation. Like I said, I'm good at being present, and being present means that you're good at observing. I observe others, I observe the world, the environment. I just love to watch. Okay. And something I've been noticing is that there is a really big difference between how people build their businesses. And that's why I say, like, in that women's business world, I'm not saying anything bad about it, but I think that a lot of women get caught up in one building like a man or building like a maiden. And so, I mean, and we all know, right? Like the boss babe, like real fast, think about like when you hear boss babe, like, what do you think of? Maybe put in the chat or just like, like, do you identify as a boss babe? Do you want to be a boss babe? Are you like, that is so not me? I've kind of been in a loop about it. And when I first started, I was like, boss babe, it's like, what are we doing? It's how we do it. And now I'm just like very repelled by that. And if you're not, that's totally fine. But I do want to just break it down a little for you. And you can find clarity, I think, in just understanding where you're at. And so when I hear boss babe, I really think of one, there's a lot of building like a man or growing your business like a man, running your business like a man. Um, what that kind of looks like is like it's a 9 to 5. You get up, you go do your thing, you work really hard, and then you come home and you're like, and you hope your wife is cooking dinner for you. Like that's very like manly, at least in how it's been, right? And there's a reason for that. So one, men have been in the workplace forever. They've always been the workers of this, coupling of men and women. And I'm not saying that we don't have manly aspects to us or that there's a function or place for that in our business. There are times where we might need to do that, right? Sometimes you're like, I gotta work like a man, get it done. And that's okay. But if you're stuck in that man persona and that's how you run always, well, think about this, okay? Women in the workplace is way more new, right? When you look at this historical scale, again, men have always been the workers. When you look at women in the workplace, like maybe even our mothers, my mom had a job, she was a flight attendant, but she always took off to be with us. Like even in just our parents' generation, I would say it's like 50-50. Some of them had jobs, some of them did not. It was not very uncommon to not work anymore and take care of your kids in their generation. That's only one generation back, right? Our grandmas, even less women were working, right? Majority, I would say probably like 75% were staying home with the kids, taking care of the house, being homemakers. And, as women got into the workplace, it's kind of been looked down upon. And I think we're in this, and what I really believe it is this like not really understanding our role. And so anyways, fast forward, one, women in the workplace is way more new than men in the workplace. And two, men's hormonal cycles work daily. So they go through their whole hormonal cycle up and down in one day. It's a 24-hour cycle, whereas women's is monthly, right? We know that. We all have a monthly cycle. And so our hormone cycle, and that's why sometimes our energy fluctuates or diminishes depending on the time of the month. And sometimes it's like you want to work harder and your body's like, don't you dare, And men don't have that. They literally go through that whole thing that we go through 1 month in one day. And so it makes sense that they work a 9 to 5 every day, daily, and that's their grind, right? So what I really have seen is when women put themselves into that, it leads to a few things. One, it can lead to burnout, exhaustion, literally adrenal fatigue. So you do that for years and years and years, and you're putting that kind of output, into your business. Your body takes a hit because our bodies are not set up to work that way. And then you have that other side where you're still trying to be a mother, and it can sometimes clash, and it like literally hurts your heart, right? How have you ever been in that situation? You're like, this is hurting my heart, because you can just feel very torn. I don't think my husband is ever feeling like his heart is sore from leaving the kids. Like I've never, like, he loves our kids and he's a great dad, but he does not have that type of like, my heart is sore because I have to leave the kids every day. It's just, he's fine with it. He loves it, right? Um, and so I do think that building like a man needs to be at least recognized for what it is and understood of when are you going to build like a man and when do you know that you're out of control and it's just how you're functioning, right? So that boss babe can go that way, or sometimes the boss babe goes into the maiden. And I think the maiden, the way that I think about it is like before you had kids, like what was your life like? How did you get what you wanted? How did you, work hard before you had kids? Okay. We all know that once we become mothers, our lives change and we are never who we used to be. And I actually think if we're grasping on to our identity before mothers and we're not willing to kind of mourn that loss, right, of who we once were, it makes it really hard and frustrating when you're trying to build that way moving forward. And putting on that boss babe attitude and, it's okay if I miss my kid's birthday because I'm doing this for them. And I see that that to me is almost worse than building like a man, because there's this layer of like it's okay, that I'm doing my why is my kids. And therefore they're put on the side so that I can work, so I can make the money for them. And it's like this attitude that I think is very against, again, motherly instincts, and like, I say this because I've been there. I've been both places. And I almost am like, again, allergic to building like the maiden or like the man anymore. And I do think that there's a better way, and I call that building like a mother, you know? And again, you don't have to be a mother to be built to be in business this way. However, I think that if you are a mother, it really helps to be thinking about what does that look like for you. And so when you're building like a mother, like I think of like the mother, just the mother persona. What does she bring? Like when you have a strong motherly presence, what does she bring to the group? She brings peace, she brings support, and mostly she brings safety. And what I see with a lot of women in business is that they will like push themselves to like grow and do things outside of their comfort zone because they think that's the only way to grow. And then they like literally rubber band back to like safety. And so it's like, how do I continue to grow? Because I always come back to this safe space. And to me, that's when they haven't really stepped into their real power as a mother in business. And of course, this can be looked at as in the home front or as a mother as well, like with your motherly duties. But I'm just really taking this from the lens of like mothers who are actually in business. And again, this can even be applied if you are in still a 9 to 5, right? If that is where you're at, you can still run your life and have that understanding that, okay, I'm going to do this like a mother in my power, understanding that when I burn out, I have nothing left for my children. I have nothing left for my community. How do I build sustainably? And I think sustainability is almost like the number one focus that I really try to help mothers do, is to find sustainability. And sometimes that means taking a step back from business to be sustainable so that they can grow long term. Sometimes that means working harder in your business in this season so that in the next season you absolutely know that you can take off to spend more time with your kids, but understanding that cycle. But it always comes from this place of power and safety from within. So does that make sense? Yeah, you guys? Okay, I see the nods. But I've really been focusing on that lately because I think that once you understand that and understand where have I been operating and how do I want to operate? How do I get more into that mother power, right? To operate in business, in my motherhood, in my home, in my life. How do I do that? And so I have a little framework, and this is kind of how we work in Mama Biz Life. And I'm going to go through this somewhat quickly so we have time for questions and stuff. But number one is we work on our foundation of our nervous system, which is breath work. I'm laughing because Leilani loves it, and she's like always there. And I love that. And anyone who ever watched the recordings are always like, I don't know why I don't do this more. But it's one of those things that is very easy to dismiss. And yet, if you actually get into the practice, and that's my goal for these mothers, get into the practice of basically breath work, moving your body, regulation of your nervous system, everything else becomes easier because, again, you're operating from a place of safety, from a place of peace, from that. To me, that is like the motherly seat of power, is that you can make bold decisions because you trust yourself. You can delegate, because again, you have that confidence, but breath work can really bring that on a physical level. So that's obviously part of what we do in Mama Biz Life. Number two, we talked about this a little bit, but identifying where you're at and where you want to be. Again, a lot of people sometimes they're just building just to make more money. And it's always going to be just, I don't know, it's going to make more money. And that may not be where they want to be. It's very, very, very important to understand, where am I at? Where do I really want to be when I'm in alignment with my values? So that is definitely something that we're always trying to just bring it back to. We work on business mindset and health support through the trainings, which I'm going to show you when we go through our little tour. And those are really fun. Like I created like a good foundation that I thought would be just a great place to start for all the moms in business. There's some social media training, there's some mindset, there's organizational things, scheduling, stuff like that, that I think are just very foundational. And then we do add trainings throughout the year. Number four, and I think this might be the most important part, is the community building with each other. So there's just networking no matter what. And it's like way deeper than just surface networking, like getting to know each other. Okay, cool. I know you, I'm going to follow you, but really understanding like, wow, what are they going through in their business? How are they growing? What is holding them back? There's so much relating in our group. And it's again, I knew this would happen. This is why I ran it this way, because I feel like I've been privy to watch groups of women grow together. And it's just really cool because the same themes come up. And so just, yeah, they're so supportive. And we get to do hot seat coaching together. And then we also bring in guest experts to kind of add to our greater community. So that's been really fun, like just hand selecting like other amazing women in business and speaking to these women. And I'll show you the whole library in a sec so you can see all the topics that we've brought in. And then our in-person meetings, which happen weekly. So every other week, we either do a hot seat coaching, which again, everyone gets their chance to bring up what they are going through, and we troubleshoot. So that's when I get to kind of be more of the mentor and just use my present skills. I love to ask questions. I love to help you navigate where you want to go versus like, okay, I'm the expert. I'm going to tell you exactly what to do. And only because again, that can work for a little bit, but until you really build the bandwidth to troubleshoot your own issues, like it doesn't mean anything for someone just to always tell you what to do next. And so we really work on that through hot seat coaching, is your ability to break through any blocks. And that can be in motherhood or business or life. You get to choose every other week. And then on the other week that we meet, it's kind of like a co-working session, and we call it workshopping. And we base it off of one, like doing what you've been putting off and just getting it done and using this group as accountability. Two, using that time just to work alongside other women and being able to like, hey, unmute and ask some questions or get feedback. And it's just basically a co-working space. We all come from different islands. And so it's just nice that we can still kind of be together, even if it's online, and still just be there weekly for each other. And so I did want to do like a short breath work as a group, just before I open up Mama Biz Life online. I want something super simple with you guys, and it's just gonna be like a 5-second breath in and out. And I'll tell you why I thought this would be really important for this call is I've been like injured for the last like 4 years, ever since my fourth baby, because I had another baby after all of this. And I go to a gym that has like a trainer that can come and help you. And he was checking me and he's like, you're not breathing. You're breathing so shallow. And I'm like, I do breath work. Like what? But just in my daily, every day, I knew this, and I've caught myself multiple times a day since he told me this, that I'm not taking deep breaths in or out. And he's like, you just got to work on longer breaths. And like, even if you just take time to do that. So I want to do that with you guys today, because it's something very easy that you can take back home with you and do it every day. And we're just going to take 5-second breaths. And something that I will give you as homework is to work up to 8 seconds. But we'll just start with 5, and we're gonna do it. We'll just do it 10 times. So 10 breaths together. You can close your eyes. If you want to like hold yourself like heart on hand or chest and tummy, you can do that as well. Or just sit with your eyes open too, that's fine too. And I'll count for us. So kind of get into like a comfy position, just sit up straight. Just kind of notice where your breath is right now. Just your natural breath. Is it kind of shallow? He said mothers are usually shallow. You know, I think we're usually thinking of what's going to happen next. And so we're waiting to that next moment. But I think it's so good for our health, our minds, to just be present. So let's take our first deep breath in. I'm going to count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and hold and let it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breath in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Deep breath in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breath out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Deep breath in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breath out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Last breath in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And last breath out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now just breathe regularly. Hopefully that just really got you in your body. And if you can, I'd love to just hear how you feel after that breath work in the comments. Yeah, you can take a little time to get back. I know sometimes it's like you do that and you're like, what's happening? But I just think that on like sometimes again as moms, you tell someone to like meditate or like just breathe, and it's like you're thinking of everything going on in your head, or that you have to do. And then you do some, this is why I like this kind of breath work where it's either led, someone talking, or just like you have something to think about. It kind of distracts the mind into that. It's like when you count sheep to go to bed, right? We're all told that as kids, like just count sheep. It's kind of the same thing. Like it gets into this meditative state that just helps your body and your nervous system just be more calm and more grounded. So thanks. Jen says she's tired and relaxed. I know. I know. And sometimes even just a short breath and meditation kind of work like that can give you extra energy because it's almost like you get a little rest without having to like actually sleep. And of course, I very much so encourage like getting a good night's rest. Just as a reminder, because I know we all need it. But okay, I'm now gonna show you the Mama Biz Life group. So I'm gonna share my screen. Let's see, nothing here. Hold on. Ah. So we have an online community. I call it the Health Hui because Mama Biz Life is a part of it, but really it's all it is at this moment. It's just Mama Biz Life. And so first, just so you know, I don't think the groups is working right now to get into. So I can't actually show you Mama Biz Life, but I can just show you the main feed, which is kind of like, it looks just like Facebook. So these are just some announcements. We just had a retreat that came up. And so it's just a way for people to kind of communicate outside of our calls, ask questions, get feedback on certain things, share announcements. And you can post pictures. It's seriously just like Facebook. And then pages is where we have our stuff. So we do have workouts. This is where I have like the breath and body work. And so you can kind of see there's some breath and body work, some energetic stuff, 15-minute sunrise set, just different things. This is all the workout and breath work that we have. And then if you look in Mama Biz Life, this is where so we have the living library right here. And so these are all of the trainings that I've done. Oh, I got to move some of these energetics to the other one. I just reorganized it pretty recently. But you can see the different kind of stuff. We have buyer personas training. We have a flow desk tour tutorial. And then we have like mindset work, like 500-year vision, getting in touch with your aligned goals. We kind of just have like a gamut of different trainings that you have access to as soon as you jump into Mama Biz Life. We save all our group calls because, not everyone can always make it live. So just know this is where it's all housed. And so each color is a different cohort. And then these are our guest speakers. So again, even if you haven't been there live, so Stacy Lee was in January because that's when we started like our guest speaker program, I guess it's called, or just inviting them into our group. And so we just have, again, I try to just think of things that would be relevant and exciting for you guys. So these are just some of the, you can read some of the different things that we have. Legal advice. Yeah, we start with KonMari, sex, marriage, and postpartum, social media, marketing and management, all the way, like our last one was joy activation coach. And that one, oh my God. I mean, every time we have a guest speaker, I want to say it's my favorite. Right, Lay? Like, I don't know. Like, it's just, oh, you think that that last one was good, and the next one comes in like, oh my gosh. But again, these are women. Again, a lot of them are moms. I would say only 2 weren't moms in business. And so they literally are going through a lot of what we are going through, and they are experts in their field, and they get to bring this expertise. And I just want you to know too that every one of them leaves our space like filled, and they're like, oh, thank you so much for letting me speak to your women. That was so amazing. And I always just think, wow, that's so cool. Like they're doing this for free. I just ask them for favors, and they always leave fulfilled. And I think that's so cool. But they just like love our group. So again, we have one every month. And but you have access to all of these guest speakers. So it just kind of continues to build. So this is our living library. I just call it living library because it's always evolving and we're always adding to it. Any questions? That's basically the health hui. Like they're really are the online part of it. We really do, I think people get the most from the lives and just being there live or catching up on that. But I definitely wanted to have this as a home base for everybody, so that they do have a landing spot when we're not, in our on our calls. Let's see. So we are kind of like rounding out. I mean, maybe Leilani, you want to just share anything about, or Jen, did you unmute? Do you have a question first? You want to?
Yeah, I wanted,
Yeah.
how long is the program? Or
Um,
is it like an ongoing, like how Lay was part of the first, you know?
yeah. So I set it up to that when you jump into Mama Biz Life, each cohort runs for 6 months. And then after 6 months, you can kind of join alumni status. And if you wanted to go for the year, then whatever price that you came in on, it's going to be half of that for the next 6 months. And anyone who has been in for a year after the year, it's just you have free access for life. That's kind of how I've been running it because I love our community and I just want to give people access to just continue if they want. And so that's kind of how it's kind of like tiered, but 6 months is the original commitment to where you're like in a cohort.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Mm-hmm. And how often, you said every week, is it a set date or do the dates change, like the day of the week?
We're pretty
Is that
set. So it's Tuesday at 10. Let me just make sure I'm telling the right times. Tuesdays at 10 so for hot seat weeks, it's Tuesdays at 10 to 11 and Thursdays from 12 to 1, but I do think that I put 11 to 1 on the landing page. So I like looked at that when I made it, or when I saw it, I was like, oh, I gotta change that. So Thursdays 12 to 1, and then on the workshopping weeks, it's
Mhm.
Tuesdays 10 to 12. So it's a 2-hour working block. But so we just added Thursdays. We were just running Tuesdays because it worked for everybody for like basically the year. But yeah, I'm pretty open to like if people can't make those times to figure out, what's another time that we can either open for the group, and I just kind of get group feedback. Yeah, and
Okay.
then the
And
guest, just so you know, the guest speaker, sorry, the guest
oh, no,
speaker.
no, I'll just say how many ladies are there or moms?
So active right now are 12.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's a
So,
mix of cohorts and alumni. Yeah, because it always is like after 6 months, like some will phase out, some will continue. And then some cohorts phase out because it's been there 6 months and they become alumni. And so the last cohort, so cohort 4 is active and they're from the summertime. And then cohort Ekolu is kind of phasing out this month, and then they'll become alumni. But everyone is mushed into one group. So currently, without cohort ʻElima, 12 ladies. Yeah. Yeah, good sized group. And so it was good to kind of break up the calls on 2 different days. Because I want to make sure everyone in a week gets coaching. Like, if you know what I mean, I want to make sure there's space for everyone getting time to get their answers answered and troubleshooted. And sorry, I just want to say, for schedule wise, guest speakers, I let them choose. So guest speakers, I can't tell you who, like when it is, but I try to do it ASAP once they let me know, once it's confirmed, so that I can let everybody know in the schedule. Yeah, but I kind of give them the space to choose a date and time that works for them. But it usually is during the weekday. I try not to do a week. We have never done weekends, actually. Any other questions?
Guess not. Are you gonna email us more information as far as like the cost and like the start date and like when you have to sign up by and whatnot?
Totally.
Okay.
So it actually, like, it's ready. I came from, this is why I look like this. I came from a field trip. I like signed up to be a chaperone because my baby was like, it's like the first one, he was like basically crying. He's like, please. I was like, okay, I'll do it. I'll do it all. And so I wasn't sure if it was going to be ready to launch by this call, but it actually is. I can share it with you now, or I can send it via email, up to you. But everything is like ready to go. And the one change is that the calls are at 12 on Thursdays, not 11.
Yeah, because right now I work Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. I was like, well, but you can go back and I guess watch the recording or listen.
Yeah, are you talking about for the like the hot seat coaching?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we have, I mean, if you're open Thursday, so Thursday 12 to 1, we have the hot seat coaching. And I didn't change the workshopping, but I'm considering it because I do like breaking it up to hour blocks instead of 2 hours. We were going 2 hour blocks just so that everyone could have spacious time, but I'm thinking the 1 hours twice a week is a little bit better. So it might work out for you that Thursdays is basically just like a Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't really miss anything. Yeah, it's been cool to grow, because in the beginning everyone's like, yeah, Tuesday, great, perfect, don't change it. But of course, like, people's schedules, and I did have more women come in who had a 9 to 5, and so they're like, please help. So I wanted to make sure I could accommodate everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions, or even like anything that you like? This is also a time, like, if you want to get coached, you can. If there's anything you want to bring up that you want to work through or whatever.
Oh gosh, I mean, where do we start? I mean, Lay knows like we have our event coming up, right? Like, are you like, are you getting ready for Maid of Maui? Yeah. So, and then all the holiday pop-ups coming up. So that's where I'm at now. Just, you know, getting it done. But I'm like, and then some days I'm like, I just don't want to do it. I'm just tired. Like how you were saying, you just get to this point where, you just sometimes, whether it's mental or emotional, physically, drained or burnt out, right? Or you just got a mom all day and there's no time, or something. There's something that always comes up. So, just trying to get everything done.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
one thing too that I didn't mention about, like, when going from the maid into the mother, like, time is radically different, right? You go from like a place where you thought that, like, oh my God, I have no time, to like you literally don't have time because things are just packed. Like, you have more activities, more cooking, more, everything. And
Mhm.
so, um, I just I'm assuming that you're short on time. Is that true?
Not not necessarily my thing. Well, like tomorrow I'm in the office. Like I still have my 9 to 5. And then when I get home, like I'm thinking, and then I'm like, okay, do I cook dinner or do I start working on stuff? What do I do? But my kids don't. I talk to them literally from the summertime. Like they know that once we get back from vacation and they start school in August, that it is like it's goal time, like prep time for, like the rest of the year. So that's why every July I take off the whole month. I'm with my kid, I don't really work.
Mhm.
I do, but not, not like so not really short of time, but I don't know, just trying with the energy. I think I'm just
Yeah.
pushing through, like I said, some days like I'm doing okay today, but some days like tomorrow I work in the office and I come home, I'm like, okay, I gotta, in my head, I'm like, okay, I gotta at least accomplish, X amount. But yeah, I know I'm gonna be okay, but I'm like, oh, just gotta get through the next, you
Yeah.
know.
That.
And it's just going by so fast. I'm like, when the kids go back to school and then there's fall break, and I'm like, I can't believe it's almost the holidays already. And it's just, parent teacher conference Thursday, Friday that I forgot about. Um, things like that.
Yeah.
So, but
How old are your kids?
second and fourth grade. So
Oh,
7 and 9.
I have
Yeah.
similars. My middles are third and fifth.
Mm,
Um, yeah, no, I get that, the energy. And
yeah.
but do you take time for yourself ever?
Yes. Like once a month, I treat myself to get my wax and my facial. So that's about an hour and a half. That's all I ask for. That's about and
Yeah.
at night before I go to bed, I like to read or something.
Mhm.
But I know this sounds bad because I'm still working, but my time, like how I was talking to you before, like working by myself and stuff, I kind of take that for my time. Like I can listen to what I want to listen to. I can put whatever on, because no one is around me, so that's like my time for myself. But I enjoy that, like the working by myself. And so I kind of consider that my time too. And I get to work at my own pace. Like, at your 9 to 5, like my job is very on schedule.
Mhm.
We don't even get a lunch. So it's by the time I get there to the time I walk out, it's just, you know, there's no break unless you go to the bathroom, basically. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and you told me earlier too, right? Like you're like right now you're doing both kind of full on, right? And
Hmm.
you have a meeting with your boss.
Tomorrow,
Oh,
yes.
good, good.
She almost broke my heart last week because I was in Vegas last week for my husband and I just went by ourselves. We left the kids with the grandparents. That was a nice break. So yes, we do take time for ourselves, I guess, and that's like we try to do that once a year.
Mhm.
Um, but anywho, so I get a text because I finally found a sub because if the kids are sick, like you said, we travel, we have events. Sometimes it's during the week, stuff like that. We never had, and it took me, I don't know how many weeks to find this one girl that can help, like work for us when we're unavailable. So my boss loves her. And then she's like, I know one day we might lose her because, she's a single mom. She's going to want to, she needs something stable too, which I get. So she's like, I need to know what are your plans for the future? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, so how much longer do you think you're going to be doing this? And I'm thinking in my head, like, I don't know. Like, I don't have a crystal ball in front of me that can just tell me,
Mhm.
you know, and but she knows I have our side business and she knows I do both. And um but in my head I'm like, she should already know. Like, how are we supposed to know that? Like, because I get her side of it too. It's like you don't want to lose a good worker too,
Yeah, of
and then
course.
I mess them up. So that's, I understand completely, but I'm like, do I just work? But she ended it. She's like, no, I'm not trying to get rid of you, but I'm just trying to be realistic with your schedule. Cause I get it. Like we take off, we did meet in Hawaii for the first time. I was across the lake,
It's awesome.
and but I took off, it's in the midweek you're there setting up and you're prepping. And the week after I took off because I'm like, and I was still
Yeah,
tired after the week
amazing.
after. But anywho, so like stuff like that. So I get it. There's not, sometimes we gotta take off during the week. So I get it. I don't, so I don't know what I want to do. I also want to stay. I mean, I enjoy what I do. So maybe I want to get to a point where maybe I can just be like their sub, like I'll switch roles,
Mhm.
like, you know what I mean? So that's something to think about too. But then at the same time, I'm like, but then when you have your 9 to 5, you have a steady paycheck. Like I know I'm gonna get paid in 2 weeks, whether it's even whether I, worked one day or two or whatever, I'm still gonna get that. Like with I've never paid myself yet till this day.
Yeah.
Never wrote a check to my name. I've never, oh, except like when we're at events or like our apparel. Like Lay knows, right? We all we got to represent our brands. So we wear, so that's like how I pay myself for like if we eat, right? We got to eat. So that's about it. So so yeah, that's where I am, I guess.
I get it. You're
It's a
straddling
lot.
worlds, and I think that I honestly, can you please update me and like about how it goes tomorrow? Because, maybe look
Yeah.
at it from a different perspective too. Like sometimes you need someone else to almost be honest for you to be like, oh my gosh, the permission to grow. Do you know what I mean? Like in a
Yeah.
way, like her talking like that almost gives you the permission to like, versus like imagine she was like, you can never leave. Like we need you to be like, that would be so
Yeah.
different. It's almost like, you know,
I know. And that's why I'm like, but I'm like, I think part of me, I want to take that step, and then but I'm like, okay, but am I being fair like for the family? Am I,
like making a smart decision.
yeah, as far as financials? Because yeah, I told my husband, I was like, you can't screw up at work. I'm sorry, buddy. You have the full-time job. We have our insurance, all that, our health, all that comes out of your paycheck, which is great. I am thankful. I know you hate your job, but I'm sorry. And he said, yeah, if I didn't have you guys, I would have left a long, but
Yeah.
anyway, sorry, off tangent. But anyways, and then we have all these other projects coming up. Like we're finally getting, we turned in our paperwork to the HOA to start building our house. The next step we can turn into the county. So hopefully we can start that next year. That costs money, even if you take out then we're gonna get,
Sure.
so so I'm like, oh God. But then at the same time, I'm like, but what if I put more time into it? Like I want to be in shops and more, and more opportunity and more event.
Yeah.
I don't know. So that's why I told my husband, I said, is it God's way of saying, like, this might be your chance, like your window, like your manager is literally telling you, like, hey, like you said, this is an opportunity. Do you want to this round? I mean, she's like, you can stay and keep your hours. Do you want to work once a month? Do you want to work once a week? Like, she's giving me, she's like, Jen, you are family. You've been with us for a long time. So whatever you want, you can have, basically.
Okay.
But then at the same, but then let's say I drop my days. And I'm like, you know what? I actually got to come back. I have no money. I need to work. And I got to come back and work those. And then it's not available. Right. So that's why I'm kind of like, I don't know.
It's going to be a process.
It's a process. I think, like everything, like all of us, we're just scared. And then part of it is, the mom guilt. Are we, like I said, am I financially being supportive, like for our family? Am I,
Yeah.
it's a lot.
I really, really want, like, I just want to tell you just one thing, take it or leave it. But I really want you to work on like feeling safe no matter what,
Yeah.
feeling held no matter what, supported no matter what. Whatever the decision is, like, what if, again, whatever it is, what maybe you're like, I want to work full time, 9 to 5, whatever it is,
Mhm.
scary or not scary. What if you were supported no matter what, financially, spiritually, physically, mentally, you know,
Mhm.
just fulfilled, and just continues that, like, just literally like try to embody just that mindset, because that's just the shift that, again, all entrepreneurs kind of have to. Sometimes it's quick, sometimes it takes a long time. I think it's different for everyone's safety. But what if you just started believing that no matter what happened next, you were supported in all the ways you're looking for it,
Right. Right.
and then lead from that and make decisions from that place,
Hmm.
you know? Because the
Yeah.
truth is that most likely that's true. And I can tell you're a smart person. Like, I almost think like it's impossible for you to screw up.
No,
But
it
because
is
you
to
like,
actually.
don't let yourself, you know,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
get that tight grip on like
Right.
change can be scary. But what if
Right.
you started stepping into no matter what happens, you're supported and everything will work out for you.
Right.
And all you're doing there, like, guess what? All you're doing is changing your mindset. Nothing physically
Yeah.
is happening. Just thinking that, I know, can sometimes feel scary. You're like,
Hmm.
oh, why would you say that to me? Right.
Right. Right.
But recalibrating to the safety in that statement, honestly, can shift everything for you.
Yeah.
And then everything
Totally.
else, you might feel more energy because instead of
Hmm.
worrying about it, you're like, actually, I already trust that it's going to work out for me. You know, and it takes a leap of faith to even be in that state. You know what I mean? And so I'm
Hmm.
not saying that this is easy, but I'm asking you to just start to work to this. It's like a muscle. Start to work that muscle of safety and trusting yourself and trusting your future,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
Because
Totally.
anything can happen, you know, like anything
Right.
under the sun. So why not live in safety and confidence, you know, and
Hmm.
in peace, really, because it's like that future is almost like disturbing your current peace,
Oh, totally. Yeah.
right?
It's stressful because like it's just, yeah.
And practice the breath
Yeah.
work. Like maybe as you're doing that breath work, just think about that. Like, I am
Hmm.
safe. Repeat whatever feels like almost outside your comfort zone to be in. Like, I'm safe.
Hmm.
Everything is working out for me. That might just be what a good phrase for you. Everything is working out for me. Everything is working out in my favor.
Yeah.
And I want you to just like practice that and maybe come to another open house and let us know how it goes by the end of the week. But really, like,
Yeah.
check in, you know, and I know we kind of went over
Oh
time.
yeah, sorry. I know
No,
everyone's
no,
busy. Sorry. I can, Lay knows. We can chit chat for I don't know how long, huh, Lay?
oh,
So
me too. I love it. Like, I love hearing from everybody.
Mhm.
Lay, do you want to give any just manao on this Mama Biz life or just anything before we close?
Yeah, I mean that's such a big pivotal moment for you, Jen. I'm almost scared to talk and like I mean I'm not trying to advise you on
You're right.
which way to go. That's but like when I came into Mama Biz, I just have to share that I was at the point of where I had kind of just dove into doing this full time. Like that's when I entered and I was a mess. I was a frazzled it was a frazzled mess. And obviously it didn't change overnight, but being in this has helped me shift so much in so many aspects of my life. Just in I was I think I was what you call it in that burnout thing of and felt like I had sacrificed
Hmm.
every minute of my kiki to make sure that this business was going to happen because all of the pressure was on me and I had done the big leap and I was like, okay, well now I have to like actually carry this, right? And I think I was torn, like how she said, and not having the time for my kids or telling them no all the time. And honestly, I don't think I ever thought that figuring out how to give my kids that kind of presence um, would be something that I could do and still have a business
Hmm.
grow. Um, and that's been the change, honestly. Being here has been all the change, and like this community and Noel guiding me, and even little things like breath work and us talking, even the hotspot coaching. We're not even here, even if you don't know what you're going through and what she can help you with, you're learning from every other mama and everything they're going through. And it's always something. There's always stuff just by listening, you're learning, and you're supporting and you're just hearing and you're relating. And it's just so much. It's so much, there's so much gold in this. I can't even explain. There's so many things, but I know that this has been the shift for me, and I know that this has been how I've been able to grow and how I've learned how to be a more present mom with my kids and be on this journey. So yeah, I'm just glad that you're here because they know, like, I know
I
how
saw
big,
your post, so I was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I want to hear about it. So yeah.
yeah, but yeah. So
Oh,
I'm
Monday.
hoping,
Sorry, you finish.
no, yeah, I'm just hoping that you know, feel supported in whatever decision you make and, you
Yeah.
know that you're not alone too on the other side of it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, well, that's what brought me down to my 3 days because last summer, Jax was like, well, mom, you're always working. Literally broke my heart. I was like in tears, like not in front of him, but I was like, holy shit. I was like, well, yeah, but that's all I need to, like, Lay knows my family. It's, that's all I know. Taking time for yourself is foreign. It's like almost taboo in our family. We don't talk about it. You don't, it's look, anyway. So when he said that, I was like, I can't keep doing this. Like I have to make it like a shift. So the next day, and I talked to my boss, I was like, I'm not going to even talk to my mom or anybody about this. I'm just going to go, talk to my husband. But besides that, I was like, I got to change something. So I knew that was my first step. So I was so happy. But then I'm booked so many months out. So that's why I didn't start till January. But I'm glad it started. But then now that's why she's like, well, Jen, I noticed, like you did Mary Monarch this year, you did Made in Hawaii, you're taking off for Made in Maui and all these things. So she's like, you gotta, on their business end, figure out, really what can you know, commit to. So that's what I gotta tell her, or, tomorrow. So, I mean, she said it's no rush. Like, I don't have to have a definite answer, but at least talk to her about it. Like what I'm thinking, basically. Yeah.
What an opportunity.
Yeah, which not many people get because she's like, yeah, even if you just want to work once a month, I get it. Just fill in,
Yeah.
all these things. So, which is nice, like I said, not many people have that kind of boss that like wants you to do what you want, like your dreams, but also, realistic. Well, you have a family to support too. So I get it if you still you need hours, basically. So, yeah.
Maybe it's a matter of also thinking about like what is the minimum hours that you would need financially to feel good.
Oh,
So you're like,
yeah.
okay,
Feel safe. Yeah.
and then just present that as like this is my baseline and almost be working off that baseline and so that you can create more space for growth in your business, plus like knowing
Right.
that knowing the season, right? Like we are
Yeah.
going into and maybe it's telling her like you want to wean, like maybe this month, I mean based on what your work, your creative work schedule is,
Right.
when will you need more time? Is it
Right.
her
Right. I know
now?
that's what I was thinking. I was like, maybe from August, maybe August to the end of the year, just temp, because that's our busy time. I don't know.
Totally. So,
Yeah.
looking, I think, at just laying it on the table and getting real clear with yourself. Definitely, that's what she's asking you to do. And
Yeah.
so you have opportunity. But yeah, I can't see what happens. And geez,
Yeah.
every time she speaks, I'm just like floored at what comes out of her mouth. I just want to say, like, you never seem like a mess from day one. You always seem so composed. And I think you're such,
Always.
right? And everyone
Always.
loves her. Like every time she speaks, everyone's like, oh, Nani. Like you're such a important part of our community. And I'm so glad you're here, that you came to this call and Jen's here and like you get to like, speak to her and all of
Yeah.
that. So I do have to wrap this up because I have to go pick up my kids. Or we might be on here all day. But Jen, I will, and anyone else watching the recording, I will send out an email that just gives details. It's like a landing page that like just shares everything with basically everything should be there that you need to know, even FAQs. But if there's anything outside of that that you need to know or you want to ask me, again, you can come to another open house. There's totally still space, and you can also just email me.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you guys. Oh my gosh, thank you. Thank you both for being here.
Yes.
And I will send the recording as well if I didn't say that. Have a beautiful day and good luck, Jen, tomorrow. And
Thank you.
for being here. See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Oh.